Justin, text to video is here and has made a significant improvement, terrifying people in Hollywood who've been cranking out mediocre movies pretty consistently.
Hmm.
And now we've seen some demos that are amazing. Let's talk about it.
I love that because we literally just spent the 10 minutes prior to this talking about the new movies we've watched, sharing them with each other. So it is interesting because we're closely getting to a spot where you can log into Netflix or Amazon or whoever gets there first and or even Disney and prompt what you're going to watch that night. And so there's some really fascinating things going on. One of the big things right now that's really shaking things up is Google's VO3 because we've all seen VO2, how photorealistic cinematic versions you can get, whether it's flying on the back of a dragon through a fantasy wonderland or your favorite celebrities having a meltdown in the apocalypse. We've seen the influencer videos on TikTok and Instagram. We've seen Bigfoot, the gorilla versus 100 men. We've even seen Mike and I think it's Mike and Greg, the stormtroopers going through the original trilogy with their phone doing selfies. And so really the sky's the limit right now. They haven't really reined a lot of this in as far as branding and stuff. So I'd still be a little careful with that. But it really is getting to such a cool spot because with VO3, the big difference is now you have voice. So you can prompt it to create videos. It's going to generate the voice as well, background music, background sounds, things like that. If you were to take some of these videos and even pair it with something like CapCut, where you can add AI generated music or even music that you've gotten somewhere from, stock or something like that, you really can start making your own movies. There's some really cool examples on social media right now where directors or even small studio directors are using things like VO3 to create some really awesome uh, trailers, commercials at a fraction of the cost of what it would taken for them to pay a designer or someone to create those images. And so for small business and nonprofits and the entrepreneurs, now you have the capability where you can put those prompt and skills to use and really create some really fascinating ways to bring people in.
It's just going to keep evolving. It still takes some art and science, Justin, to produce these. The people are doing it well, are quite creative. Like you said, one of my favorite is, I think, Bigfoot vlog. But there's several versions of them because he's not too crude, but he's kind of edgy, and the timing and the voice and everything is done really well. It still, to me, is a creative outlet. It still requires somebody to come in and figure out the plan, the storyboard, and everything else. And I think the people in the movie industry that are worried about their job probably should at least dip their toe and start learning some of this, because there could be a way they could take their creative energy and use these new tools and create something compelling. The biggest thing is for those that have a small business, I don't know that this is ready for a micro business with no budget yet. So we want you to know you're going to see this stuff. You're going to need to know that it still takes a lot of work in the prompts to get consistency between the frames. And it is amazing. And it's going to change the world of movie. It's going to change the world of advertisements. It's going to change our life, is what's going to occur. And then, Justin, you brought something really good up in one of our courses the other day. There'll also be the hunger for that authentic human until they can get it so it completely duplicates or we can't tell the difference. To me, the more I watch them, the more I can identify still that this is AI generated. And I think it's important that you know it. But for small businesses, this is where I say humanize and personalize while you still have a chance. If you're hiding behind this stuff, you're losing your competitive advantage. Justin, anything you want to show us real quick? Just some
Yes.
things you played around
So
with?
VO2 can still be accessed on the free Gemini via the app and online. What we're going to be doing for VO3 is that is the paid Gemini Pro. It's $20 a month for that. You get so many within a 24-hour period. You can get the higher level for much more and really expand that. Now, when you look at some of the miniseries or the longer, multiple scenes put together, most of that's being done through Google Flow, which you can get access to. There's a storyboarding element in there. And so don't get frustrated if you get the 8-second clips and they're not always consistent. However, and that's just from using Gemini Pro. However, I'm going to show you some ways that you can create more consistent clips without having to learn flow just yet and dipping your toe into it. So when you're using VO2 or VO3, what you do need to understand is that these are going to be 8-second clips, whether it's VO2 or VO3. That's where they're really cut off at this point. So how you can capitalize on that is really, it's going to involve 2 threads. What I typically do is I will work with Gemini 2.5 Flash or whatever model you have if you have the free version. I'll explain the concept in my prompt and ask it to prompt in a way to organize the story. Do I want a cinematic finish? Do I want anime, claymation? What format do I want it in? What's the background? What's in the foreground? What's the character doing? Give as much content as you can and really let it flesh out the bulk of the stage direction and things like that. Then you can review it, and what that's going to do is you're feeding off each other. So you're going to give the main inspiration, it's going to give you the more detailed. That's going to inspire you as you read it, which is then going to allow you to either move with that, copy and paste it into another thread, because right now you can't do both video and you know, interacting with it on prompting back and forth in the same thread. Video has to be in a separate thread, but it allows you to, in a way, inspire each other and work off of that to create more detailed prompts. So what I did here, and this is to show you how easy it could be to get in trouble with branding. This is not going to be posted or shared or passed off as my creation, but I wanted to pick something that is out there. It's a visible brand. It's known by everyone, whether you like it or not. And to show you how easy it is to create something with the mindset of, oh, I created this using Google, so why can't I use it? You never want to steal brand because that can land you into some legal trouble. But for the sake of showing you how easy it can be, and you have to be very aware of it, we're going to choose Star Wars. So one of the big viral threads right now are the 2 stormtroopers from Star Wars, now owned by Disney, that are traveling across the galaxy, getting into all sorts of, I will call it shenanigans. And so what I wanted to do, because I'm a Star Wars fan and I'm a fan of The Office, I wanted to have an interview with the stormtrooper in the style of the popular show The Office, like Jim Halpert, where he's talking about things and in the background something's always going on. And so what I wanted to do is I prompted, and I gave that context to 2.5 Flash. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have him say, look, here's a struggle. We're kind of looking at the hero's story. And eventually Martin Brosman and Dr. Justin Rose came in and helped me out of this problem. And so for the first one, here's a commercial prompt that blends the Office style with Star Wars chaos, focusing on Martin and Justin. And so it gives me the video, a script, even kind of stage direction, and then leans into even putting graphics up there as, Martin Brosman, Dr. Justin Rose, leveraging AI for unmatched focus and success. I can go back to that and say, well, I like this. I don't want, Darth Vader throwing anybody in the background. Maybe he's throwing equipment. Change something like that, make it a little, more audience friendly. So what I do is I take and I copy this over. And what I did is I started my new thread and I pasted that prompt in. So I'm having it help me create visuals. And so here is the first video.
So yeah, before VO3, my job was, well, it was challenging. You're out there day in and day out trying to hit targets, and frankly, we were missing a lot. So yeah, before
And
VO3,
so, there's some humor in there too. Everybody knows stormtroopers have poor aim. And so, he's talking about he can't hit his targets both in the office and on the range. And, he's missing goals a lot. And so I even had it add some humor in there. And so where prompting like this and Google Flow separate is Google Flow, you think of more like video editing to where you're going to be able to patch different scenes together. It has a storyboard editor that allows you to include and incorporate different themes, different reference images, reference videos, and really create a more cohesive. That means the cohesive stage direction, the theme, the video quality, even down to the voices. That's why when you see the Sasquatch vlog, which we both love, it's the same voice, the same mannerisms all throughout the different scenes. And essentially, if you notice, whenever those scenes cut, it's every 8 seconds because it's generating those 8-second clips. When you go into something like this, it can be a little more challenging. And that's where going back and having it prompt, provide the same, character, the same theme, the same voice, the same, background, the same base information, but just change the setting and the script, you're going to see that there are a lot of similarities here. Now, one thing that I didn't focus on was making sure in this setting to prompt the same voice. So take a listen.
So you might remember me from before. TK Trot for Gaju 2421.
And so it's a different voice, but it's still pretty impressive because it's still impressive quality, like it could have been filmed. It has the text and everything up there, Martin Brossman and Dr. Justin Rose helping you hit your targets and achieve goals. And so it's still a nice little video. So now what I did differently here is because I had established a theme is now I wanted to try, okay, let's see if I can take a basic prompt and carry on the theme, carry on kind of the humor and everything. So I wanted it to have him thinking, the trooper thinking to the audience, the work provided by, theoretically Martin and Justin about hitting his goals, helping him organize using AI to hit his goals and meet his marks. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't give it specific direction on looking at the camera or nobody else being in there. I wanted him to, thank Martin and Justin for helping him to meet his goals and hit the mark while Darth Vader's giving him a pizza party, for hitting his goals. I didn't put just them two. I didn't put, he's looking at the camera. Like I was very detailed on the first two. And so I kind of got a surprise here with some guest appearances.
Martin, Justin, really appreciate you guys helping me hit my marks and meet those goals.
So he did exactly what he wanted. Vader even levitated the pizza, which was a nice touch, onto the table. That's not Martin and Justin. I'm sure they did a great job helping him there. Maybe in the Star Wars universe, there we are. But I wasn't detailed. So it just shows you how the detail in these scripts can change how the video unfolds. That's still an impressive and funny video. I like it. However, it didn't have us in there. Now, something else you're going to see when you use Google Flow versus using VO3 is, and if you're familiar with using ChatGPT to create images, or you've seen some of our work in our classes where I put Martin and I in the style of Sun Tzu, The Matrix, all these different cyberpunk or historical figures, ChatGPT does a pretty solid job of applying our likeness into videos. Google, it's amazing. VO2, VO3 do a really good job in videos and creating very well done and realistic people. However, what I tried to do is I said, okay, I didn't think it was going to put us in there. So maybe let's have him actually thanking us. So I provide an example of, Martin and I, good picture there. And I wanted him to integrate it. Well, we can see here that it did not do too good of a job capturing our likeness. And so that's one thing that we found. We pushed it until we found where it's kind of the edge of what it can do was. And, Again, this is still us trying to prompt VO3 within Gemini. When you go into Google Flow, you're able to do a lot more with that because you're actually able to provide videos, maybe a video of Martin and I presenting, so it sees us from different angles. It's able to create more of a fluid picture of us. And that's where that tool has that added capability. And so that's going to be more along when you see these videos of influencers or celebrities maybe getting their likeness doing these things like the end of the world or walking on the moon, or two politicians who have had a breakup and a video about one going to space. We've seen it on social media. There's all sorts of different things that you can do, but again, we just go back to, just because you can do it with these tools, you can generate something, does not mean that you need to, that it's legal or it's ethical. You can have some fun with it, but just make sure it's responsible. If you're going to use it for your business, make sure you're following the guidelines, you're following rules, you're not breaking copyright, trademark, or any type of brand image. Play it safe. And as always, be responsible with it.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to hearing what you all think about this, but this is another micro paradigm shift, and that's rippling through the whole world, and rightfully so, because this will be getting better. It will be improving, where it's beyond something that's short, funny little things on TikTok. And there's some people working on it. I think the Wall Street Journal put together a video. We'll add other videos we find and be analyzing them, and keep up with the field. Remember to hold on. Excuse me. Remember to click subscribe and the bell to see our future videos. Check the links below for our text on courses and training we offer with AI. And I look forward, Justin, to see what other people are doing and how they're creatively producing something. And we'll check back in the month, because Justin, I know you have a surprise for our next marketing piece, and looking forward to that creation. This is Martin Brossman.
And Dr. Justin Rose. And don't forget, stick around. We have another tutorial on how to use the mobile version following this. So the announce of VO3, which is Google's new top of the line text to video, everybody is freaking out because VO3 takes the already impressive, photorealistic, and creative aspects of VO2 that we've seen in the short clips and actually adds into it sound. So a lot of these clips you're starting to see of newscasters, of interviewers in the street, of all these different applications that have people speaking is VO3. Now, if you've been following this for a long time, it can really overwhelm you, because even though you can still see quirks, such as people speaking and how movements are still a little bit unnatural, is getting to a point to where our ability, even those of us who are experienced with it, the ability to be able to differentiate synthetic from organic media is almost zero. It's almost non-existent. And that is terrifying in a way, because as convincing as some of the deep fakes have been, it's getting to a whole nother level. Now, one thing though, for creators and anybody who's dipping their toe into it, this is a fascinating time as well, because you can tap into these tools in a way that can really market your business. And it's a lot better than the old school ones on Canva, or the different type of avatars where it's their heads frozen, they don't move much, and it's kind of awkward and uncanny. Now you can actually start creating commercials that are very realistic. And so, for example, we're going to look into how to do this real quick. The easiest, if you're just getting started, the easiest way to do this is on your mobile phone. You're going to want to have the paid subscription to Gemini Pro, and you're going to want to have at least the free version of CapCut. And so right here, you see we have Gemini Pro on the app. Now you can actually access video right from your prompt input. And this is VO2 right here. The web version has Google Flow, which integrates VO3. If you have the paid subscription, you also get for the time being, a one-time package of 10 generations using VO3. However, VO3 is integrated into Google Flow, so you can tap into some of the potential there. But for the sake of just on the fly, we are going to show you how to do this real quickly on the phone. Now, everything I'm going to do is going to be AI generated down to the music and the script. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a commercial for small business Swedish bakery.
Small business Swedish bakery. Great.
Now, this is going to tell you it's going to take a moment or two to generate. However, sometimes it can be a lot quicker. And so while that's generating, I really just want to take a quick minute and show you around the app for Google Gemini Pro. Of course, you're going to see when you start your new threads that you'll be able to select your model at the top. You have your traditional thread interface right here, your input bar. Now, what Gemini has recently updated is instead of having to go through models to get to VO or to certain things, they've actually added them here as bubbles in your input bar. And so, of course, you can create a new thread or attach something. You can do deep research, which I will say Google has done a phenomenal job updating deep research, and then Canvas and video. So we have our video here, and that is pretty good. Now, culturally, it seems to be accurate. It's very well shot. Now, I don't know about the sign. So again, there's still some telltale things there that could be different. Now, I'm going to download this. So you're going to see it's going to download to the phone. I can also share it and change the speed. I can also continue to add to it. Now, one thing I will say, let's go back real quick, is if I want to add something, I can't just assume it's going to continue from there. So if I want to generate another video, and you are limited to so many videos through the app in a 24-hour period, I want to say it's about 4 or 5. This may change as things change daily. But now we're going to say a small dish bakery providing baked goods. Because everybody loves and integrate in your community. So we're going to get that going. We're going to switch over to CapCut. So the first thing you're going to notice when you open the CapCut app is that it's going to have templates brought up, and it has a ton of great templates that are ready-made. You can easily use them. You can search for ones from there. You can search a library of videos you've already started, videos you've tried, templates that you've saved, or you can just go to edit here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to a new project. We have the saved video. We're going to add that. Now, since we have that, it's been more than 2 minutes, so we're going to go and see where we are with our video here.
How
Okay.
it's cooking.
So now it's cooking, but it's more of a,
Cartoon.
cartoonish. And again, that's a really good example. I didn't give it a very clear prompt, but a realistic, but
Right.
just to go to show you how prompting matters here. But for here, we have our real basic editing. We have our timeline. We have our editing tools here. We have our effects, which of the mobile apps I've used, this is one of the best ones. If anybody has any suggestions on something better, I'm all ears. But I really enjoy it. It's easy to use. And so I have my video. It's already laid in. If I want to, it already has the CapCut at the end. Now, if I do not want to have that CapCut outro, I can delete that. I like it. It's nice and clean, and it promotes the tool. So we can edit, snip, go from there. Now, 2 of the things I want to show in this video real quick is you actually can generate AI music and narration. So if I want to go into music, I can go through the different styles it has. I can listen to it, but let's see, we're going to go with a relaxed tone. Relaxed, and let's say cheerful. And we're going to generate. Now, my experience with this, it has really done a great job at generating background music. No vocals, however, as far as music in the background, it's actually way better than a lot of the stock stuff I've seen out there from Canva or even some of the stock stuff that CapCut keeps stored. And so it's always going to provide you with 3 different types, and you can always regenerate here at the bottom. And it's going to play your video along with it. I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Nice and cheerful. We're going to integrate
Yeah.
that. So now, all right. So of course we can click on it. It's very easy to edit. We can either snip it, or if we want to, we can always take and shorten it from there. So we're going to split, actually. Going to get it where we want to go at the end of our tag. Split really easily. Delete. Again, it's really beneficial for anybody who's just getting into it. Now, again, we can put sound effects in. We can do text audio. So text audio, we're going to work in. We can have an AI writer. We can extract from a link, or we could just say something as "Come enjoy a free muffin to celebrate our grand opening. Love, Gage." Good, sweet. To the message. You also see it has AI writer. I can improve it. It also has an AI writer where I can improve it, expand it, just like you've seen maybe with Copilot or Gemini and Docs or even Grammarly. So I'm going to apply this, have my script. Now, what is great is I can put an avatar in, but I don't want to do that because that's going to take away from the video. But I can also go into now, I have narrators. And so let's see. Let's try professional male.
Come enjoy a free moo.
Let's try one. Let's try charming male.
Come enjoy a free moo.
Okay, that's a pretty good one. So we're going to go with that. Next, we can split it automatically into separate captions, or we can keep it the same. What it is going to do is it's going to generate captions as well. This makes it really nice because you can edit the captions, the font, and everything from there. I'm going to keep it pretty standard where it is now. Now, if I had split it, then what it would do is it would separate out kind of like your typical ones. Let's try it. So separate, you can see here, I can actually take and move these. I can drag them, I can cut them in there. But for the sake of now, I'm just going to show you. Let's look at our video.
Come celebrate our grand opening with a free muffin, as our way to give back to our community.
When you're ready, if you like that, you can quickly export. Very quick, share to TikTok. You can share to different accounts. You can also save on your phone. And from there, you'll be able to pull it up and post it wherever you would like, and production quality. But again, we can adjust. We can continue to go back and edit. We can edit covers right in the app. And again, we can edit it where it posts to a story, WhatsApp, Facebook. We have different sharing options right there that I can connect and integrate from there.